Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44. So I'm coming to you today because I've been paying attention to not only Steven Jackson and Louis Farrakhan and Deshaun Jackson. There we go. Not only because of their anti-Semitic rhetoric, but also now we have Nick Cannon, who's been fired from Viacom. They removed Wild 'N Out entirely because of comments that were basically of the same vein, probably stemming from the same conversation that Deshaun Jackson and Steven Jackson's situation stemmed from, which was the rhetoric of Louis Farrakhan on July the 4th, which he was speaking to all of us, telling us basically that we're the real Jews and that the people who are considered Jewish people today, the Jews that we know here in America, are in fact someone else other than Jews. And that's anti-Semitic and very hurtful to a lot of people, and I respect that that is not something that is going to be received in any other way than hurtful to them. So I'm sensitive to that. I don't come here to back up any of those claims. I come here to cry ignorance, as I have in the past when it comes to certain things. In this case, I cry ignorance on behalf of every common African American person in this country who does not know about the culture of the common Jewish person, and whatever that may mean. We just don't have a whole lot to draw from in regards to who they are, our relationship with them, what they think of us, what makes them offended, whether or not they understand our plight in any way. We don't know. Our relationship with Jewish people in general has to do with business most of the time. When it's time for us to get lawyers, a lot of times they're Jewish. When it's time to speak with money people, bankers, things of that nature, a lot of times they're Jewish. We understand that they own a lot, they control a lot, and they have the respect of both people outside of their community as well as self-respect that is evident in how they carry themselves every day. So we understand that they are a prideful, and I say prideful not in the sense of putting their chest out like they're better than you, but more so prideful in the sense that they have earned a certain level of respect over time in this country from white supremacy as well as people outside of it. Whites, in my opinion and what I've seen, tend to not really mess with Jews. They mess with blacks, they mess with Mexicans, they mess with Native Americans, they mess with Asians. But they tend to leave Jewish people alone for some unexplainable reason to me. They don't get touched. And when someone offends them, changes are made. Their neighborhoods usually clean. They have rituals and things within their culture that we see but have no idea about. They're mystery people to me, a big mystery. And growing up in Los Angeles, I've lived around synagogues. I've seen certain types of Jews, don't know what type of Jews they are just because of my ignorance. And two, because they don't really enrich themselves outside of their own community here in Los Angeles. The Jewish people that we see here, I believe they're considered Orthodox Jews, a lot of them. And they walk from place to place. They walk from synagogue home, and they live within a certain distance of their synagogue at all times so that they can be within walking distance. So I know that aspect of that particular segment's culture, but it's so very limited in comparison to the vast information of what Judaism is and the Jewish people. Their history, I never seek that information because it never was really something that was important to me, to be honest. But at the same time, as we see African Americans now being condemned for their ignorance, I find myself on the side of, well, my ignorance is pretty extensive as it pertains to these people. I too could say something that would be disrespectful. I too could say something that could get me canceled, and I'll never be any the wiser. So I've come to you to say this. It's time to have a national conversation about who the Jewish people are. If we're going to have people like Farrakhan and Nick Cannon sit up here and say the African Americans as we know them today are not really African Americans, but Moors who are descendants of Ham, who happen to be the original Jews. And then I look over in my history books and I don't see a damn thing about who I am as an African American. I'm gonna trust Nick Cannon. I'm gonna trust Louis Farrakhan. I'm gonna trust the people who are telling me that I'm something more than an N-word. I'm gonna trust the people who say they've done the work, the due diligence of learning about these people whose history has been elusive to me despite living amongst them every day. I have to look at what I see. I see white supremacy kicking everybody's ass but them. And I know they hate them just the same, but they don't mess with them. Why? And then I listen to what Nick Cannon says again, because they're not really Jews, because they are actually white people who have hidden, etc., amongst us as Jews. I don't know what to think of that. My ignorance is extensive and hurtful to others, but the reality is I have no idea who I am. So I'll be damned if I'm going to jump to the defense of the people I don't know, of whom do look like white people, of whom they don't seem to be messed with, of whom do own everything but seem to be in the shadows and don't really deal with secular stuff. Yes, I'm going to believe, just by the way that I've seen behavior, that they're trying to stay in the shadows for a reason or two, and that they have respect to people that don't seem to respect anyone but themselves. If I'm just looking at those 2 points, and then I listen to the information that's given to me by my fellow brothers who are telling me I'm actually them, then I look at how I was treated in the history, and the fact that they removed my history purposefully, replacing it with history that isn't real about who I am and what it is I should believe in and who I should pray to. Why would I not consider these things? I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, why would I rule it out? If you look at how it's aligned, there's a lot to look at. And that's why it's time to disarm my ignorance. As I always say with anyone that's ignorant, you have to just disarm them by giving them information and removing any fallacies about who you are. And I think it's time. It's time for us to have a real conversation about why we don't know more about people who live amongst us in the Jewish community, and untouchable people of whom anybody offends, things change. If gunfire takes place in a Jewish community, whoever that was that shot that gun is going to jail for life. If for some reason someone robs their neighborhood, that person's found, that person goes to jail. You ain't never gonna see them again. Like, they get the respect that we all want. Anytime anybody messes with them, says something anti-Semitic, the world changes. People lose jobs left and right. The type of energy that black people are finally starting to get is the type of energy that Jewish people have always received, to my knowledge. They just don't get messed with by anybody here. Now, I'd be remiss to not mention 6 million people being murdered, so there's a sense of respect, knowing where they've come from. You understand what I'm saying? Regardless of if you want to call them imposters or not, Hitler was real, and he was really killing them. He wasn't killing us. He may have killed a few of us, but when he was killing the Jews, he wasn't looking at African Americans as we now consider ourselves Jewish or whatever, if that's what it is. No, he was killing those people. Those people were the ones he was murdering. So I know what they've been through. I know that there's a reason to cancel out why they don't get messed with, because of how awful that situation was. But nevertheless, when has white supremacy really left anyone alone? Not unless you have the leverage to demand such a thing, and they own so much. That part is clear to me. Jewish people own quite a bit. You don't see too many poor them. You don't see too many broke, homeless them. You understand what I'm saying? Just don't see that. What portion of the country do they have? How many of them actually is it? I don't know. Because they look white. So, my ignorance is real. Like, I'm speaking from my own perspective, but this is going to be what you hear from the common African American, not because we're not willing to do our history or due diligence, but because that information isn't just right there for us to get. We can't just walk up to a Jewish person and say, hey, My name is this and this. Tell me about who you are. We're not welcome like that. Never been welcome like that. They tend to stay away from everybody that isn't in their community from what I've seen unless they're doing business. And so, without continuing to talk into a circle, I just want to have a national conversation about who they are. So we can disarm any ignorance, whether it be on our side or anyone else's. I want to know who they are. I want to know their origin. I want to know their practices as it pertains to understanding what will offend them. What can I not say around them? What can I say? How do I best respect them? How can I take some of their practices in terms of how they've managed to rise and incorporate it into my own? They can help a lot of us. Why haven't they? With the power that they wield, why have they set aside and watched the Native American get screwed over, the Black American get screwed over, the Mexican American get screwed over? Hear nothing from them. Why don't I hear anything from the people like from them? I have questions. If you want me to be up in arms about offending them, and I recognize that they have a good portion of power and respect, why don't I hold them accountable for some of the things that could have changed if they would have given a shit? See, we need to start having real conversations. If we want to cancel somebody for not knowing, we had better damn sure make sure that we know. Because if we're just sitting here saying, oh, we're getting him out of here because he's offended those people, without actually figuring out how to best not offend them through real dialogue and real communication, then we're just patronizing. This doesn't represent our heart. There's no enlightenment here. I can't speak for Nick Cannon because maybe he's come to terms with what he said, and that's why the apology that he's written has come out. But I can speak for myself when I say I can't effectively apologize for anything until I have a reasonable conversation about what the facts are. I will not allow someone to lump my ignorance for the Jewish people in with the blatant bigotry shown against our people from white people. Just because we're doing the get right with racism, get right with human decency conversation does not mean we get to lump the two together as if it's the same energy. It's not. It's definitely not. Nick Cannon, Farrakhan, and all them are talking about self-discovery. Information that was taken from us, from which has not been replaced with anything that we can tangibly stand upon. We don't know who we are. So we're trying to figure it out. Don't mistake that with the type of hatred and bigotry being shown our way just for being alive. It's not the same shit. Stop that nonsense. And with that being said, I can't support necessarily Nick Cannon for his anti-Semitic comments because I, honest to God, don't know a damn thing about Semitism in general. So I don't know if I should condemn him or say, yeah, that's right, brother. I'm just kind of standing here waiting for more information so I can make an effectively respectable opinion formulate a respectable opinion about the conversation. I just don't know shit. I don't know if I can dispute it or not. But I do know someone needs to let all of us in on the secret. What's up with the Jews? Let us know. Let the black man know what's up with the Jew. Are we the real Jews? Or is that some horse shit made up by some people who desperately want to be greater than a nigger? Let me know. Is there some truth to this? Let's not just, oh, it's ignorance. We don't stop thinking that ignorance. We want the answers. We don't stop at the fact that we're ignorant and go crawl into a floor somewhere, under a mat somewhere and die. We've earned the right to learn what our ignorance is based on and then having it corrected. We've earned that. I think we've earned that. As much ignorance and as much bigotry has been shown against us, we've earned the right to say, you know what? Damn. Now that I know more, that's not how I feel anymore. We've earned that. And I think Nick Cannon's earned that. I think Stephen Jackson's earned that. I think Deshaun Jackson's earned that. Can't speak for Louis Farrakhan. He's much older, much wiser, much more well-versed. Has a much more responsible platform. I don't hold him I don't hold him in the same regards because he's much more important with his words. If something come out of his mouth, that's what he meant, and he's standing on that. You know what I mean? That's an entirely different thing. But we're talking about the common African American. Yeah, man. No, we just don't know no better. In that case, we just don't have the information. Yeah, we can do our Googles, sure, but that's just one or two people doing their Googles. Not everyone's going to do their Googles. It's two things the black man needs to know: who he is, who the Jewish man is. We need to know who these people are. Period. We need to know what they've done. We need to do ourselves, so that we can have the respect that they have. Start treating ourselves with respect and dignity, demanding that respect, maneuvering through white supremacy like they have. We need to know these people. Just don't need to be a conversation that keeps us apart from these people. We need to start having real dialogue about who they are and who we are. And then, if they don't welcome us in, then we know who they are. It's one of those. So I haven't felt welcome yet. And I ain't speaking for everybody. I'm just talking about walking down the street, walking past these people saying hi, and they don't even look in my direction. That kind of thing. On my personal experiences. Excuse me. So, yeah, that's what I got to say, man. I'm a black man. I have a lot of respect for myself. I don't think anyone's better than me. I don't think a Jewish person's better than me. I don't think a white person's better than me. I don't think a Hispanic person's better than me. But we've lived with this undertone. And when I say we, I speak for the culture that I was raised in. An undertone that Jewish people are better than you. Not better than you in the sense of white people, like the way that the culture of white people, they press upon you that they're better than you. No, the Jewish person is above you. They have more money than you. They stay to themselves. They don't be doing all the ignorant activity that take place in your neighborhoods, shooting each other and shit. They've never been involved in anything that would be considered or deemed ignorant. You know what I mean? Like, better. And they are above reproach. You not only don't question what they're doing, but you also don't criticize it. People can make fun of you and throw your name and your likeness all over everything and make fun of it and shit because you're black and you're at the bottom of the totem pole. Let you say one anti-Semitic thing and you'll never be heard from again. They're better than you. This is an unspoken rule in this country. Tearing that shit down. They are not above reproach. They're not above sin. They're not just some mystical people that get to hoard all the information and all the fucking property and all that shit. If we offend them, we want to know why we offended them, and we want to know what they know. And if that makes me somebody that's asking too much, then that just further brings home the point. If what I'm saying is offensive in any way, that should tell you more than you already know, right there. I'm not afraid of them. Not afraid of them. I think a lot of people are afraid of them. I'm not. They may own a lot, but at the end of the day, we all need to have conversations about who one another is, and if anybody's above that conversation, then they're part of the problem. In the midst of trying to overcome all this ignorance and all this bigotry and not have so many reasons to fight, these are the type of things that these are the bridges we need to build. These are the conversations that need to be had. These are the secrets that need to be revealed. These are the circumstances that need to be dealt with. My name is BDF44. Thank you for watching. Love for everybody, but ignorance within my mind that I'd love to replace with information. Help me do so, y'all. Tell me who the real Jew is. Is it me? Or is it those folks over there? I want to know.